For Angela, living as a woman has been easier than for many transsexuals who may not pass as well. And in a few weeks, she will be having the sex change surgery that will remove her genitals and erase any external physical trace of her maleness. But around the house, there are still scattered remnants of her history as David.
This is a picture of a B-52H model, which is one of the many B-52s that I flew while I was in the Air Force. I'm one of the few people alive who has time in all operational models of the B-52. That would be the B model, C, D, E, F, G, and H. In this closet, we have my military uniforms that I wore during my 21 years in the Air Force flying B-52s. And I also have 14 air medals for flying over Vietnam. They just look kind of like somebody else's. It's been so long I've forgotten what it is like to wear them. Okay, this is my shop building, and we're going to see in here a treasure that my male alter ego used to live. This is a 1955 Pontiac, which is very similar to one that I owned when I was about 18. When I began transition, I completely and totally lost interest in doing this kind of work, which is a very big personality change for me.
It's a huge one. Not only that, but before we moved to this house, David was so interested in cars that of all hobbies, this one was almost an obsession. And to park it here and then to do almost nothing was a huge change, literally.
In some ways, I feel like my dad is gone. Sometimes I get upset about it even now. I miss Mr. Fix-It. You know, I mean, the capability's still there, but the desire is not there anymore.
Most of the hobbies that David, my evil twin, took on were very, very intense and very time-consuming and required a lot of thought and time. And the reason that David took those on was to sublimate the yearning to be a woman.
Now, Angela is focused on the approaching surgery. She will be traveling to Canada to have the operation with one of the world's leading sex reassignment surgeons. Before her trip, she meets one last time with her therapist, Dr. Sally Hunt.
You know, your surgery's coming up, what, in a month?
A little less.
Sometimes people have a lot of anxiety or some anxiety about the surgery itself.
I mean, it's a major surgery,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a major change. But in terms of transition, I don't see it as a major thing. Mm-hmm. For me, it was a much more radical change to begin living full-time as a woman.
How are you prepared to handle the situation if Johnny becomes anxious?
I'm not sure I'm prepared for that other than to say that I recognize it could happen.
Unfortunately, most of the spouses don't stay. They can't accept it. And it is simply this: if I accept my spouse as a woman, in this case, does this make me a lesbian? The spouse's sexual scripting and their personality constructs, that really is the prediction of whether or not the spouse can have the ego strength, you know, the self-esteem to say, you know what, this doesn't make any difference. This is the person I love.
Once Angela is a woman in every way, the validation that women seek in one way is from man. And will that final transition make that happen? That will be a huge disappointment. And I suppose that's the only little gnawing thing back there.
We got to figure out if we got enough suitcases and stuff.
That's true. That's going to be a real...
I may have to pack 3 and you'll only pack 1. How it works out between us with my new body, we're just going to wait and see. And we're both kind of anxious to see how that evolves. The important point is that we like each other as people. We're comfortable with each other in all of life's situations. That's not going to stop or change. And so the love is going to be there.
Will Angela's upcoming surgery erase her years of unhappiness as a man and enhance her relationship with Johnny?
Okay, here we go, back in.
Or will it put an end to their life together? At Los Angeles International Airport, Angela, a retired Air Force navigator, is on her way to Canada for a sex change operation.
Finally, after all these years, it's the last few days and the last big step, and then I'll be complete.
She will be undergoing the procedure with one of the world's leading sex reassignment surgeons, in the hope that it will finally bring an end to the profound discomfort she has felt living in a man's body for the past 59 years. It is the final stage of her transition from male to female.
I'm really looking forward to my surgery. I do look pretty much like a woman. The hormones, of course, made my breasts grow, changed my body shape a little bit. There's really only one thing that I'm unhappy about, and that is my male genitals are still there. That creates quite a shock for me. We're going to fix that, so I'm looking forward to surgery.
Once again, this is Rose 20 through 30, Air Canada 798 to Montreal. All duty-free merchandise is in the jetway.
One of the things I'm wondering is, once I've accomplished this final big goal, I've got nothing else to look forward to in my transition, and I think there'll be a little bit of an emptiness there. But that's got to be a good thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Montreal.
An estimated 800 to 1,000 male-to-female surgeries are performed in the U.S. each year, and at least half that many are done on U.S. citizens abroad. Angela's surgery will cost $9,000, while in the United States it can cost twice as much.
Where are you coming from?
Fresno, California.
California?
What is this?
This is your surprise. I found this and I just absolutely couldn't pass it up, you see. You have to read what it says.
3D jigsaw puzzle. 40 family jewel. Oh, it took me a minute to get that.
I don't know how our relationship will really change after surgery, except that I know that I see it as a positive change and that it will be better.
I'm doing a really good job of ignoring the surgery. And as far as for me, it's really not going to affect me. I mean, they're changing part of her body that I really don't see much, so I don't think it's going to bother me much.
The next day, Angela is ready for her sex change operation.
Okay. So good luck.
Thank you.
Okay.
How long
See
do
you
I wait
later.
here?
Maybe 20 minutes.
Okay. It is a very complicated operation, obviously. But I have faith in the doctor, and I'm going to let him do what he's good at doing and wake up a new woman.
Johnny has been allowed in the operating room to watch the transformation.
Where'd you get in?
I snuck in.
She didn't listen to me.
I don't want her in there. Kidding.
Dr. Pierre Broussard performs more than 200 of these sex reassignment surgeries every year on both men and women.
The procedure, it's more or less like a symphony. Every part of it has to come in this certain sequence. If you don't do that, then you're in trouble.
In this procedure, known as a vaginoplasty, the testicles and most of the penis are removed and shaped into female genitals. A vagina is then created between the bladder and the rectum. The resulting female sex organ is as sensitive as a genetic woman's. But as with any procedure, there are risks.
Other risks are swelling that lasts long, difficult healing of some incisions. Some of the skin outside on the external genital is lost because of lack of circulation, but this is a rare complication. Of course, the worst one is death, related to a complication like a pulmonary embolism. The incidence is not higher than any other procedure.
The other risk is that patients will come to regret their decision, and some medical professionals still question the ethical validity of sex reassignment surgery.
Should we perform surgery on anorexics so that they don't absorb any food? They want to be thin. Why don't doctors do that? Because it hurts them, obviously.
In some cases, patients may be suffering from psychological or emotional problems which surgery won't resolve. But when the diagnosis is correct and the mind's identity truly doesn't fit the body, surgery can be the best option.
I feel that trans people are fortunate that we have a medical intervention for this condition. This is not like being too short or being too tall. It's elemental. It's who I am. The basic identity issue is I'm a human being, and the next basic one is I'm a man or a woman. If that basic sense doesn't match your body, we have something that we can do to help people have the appropriate physiology.
Confirmed. It's a girl.
Less than 3 hours ago, Angela entered the surgery room with her male genitals intact. Now she is being wheeled out with no external trace of her manhood left. Her new body is bound to change her relationship with Johnny. But will it be for better or for worse?
I slept until 2 o'clock in the morning and then I was wide awake. My new princess. Isn't that sweet?
It's the morning after Angela's sex reassignment surgery. She is now as close to being a genetic female as is medically possible.
I'm really glad it's over, and I've heard other people say after the surgery that they feel really calm and complete, and I thought, yeah, that's kind of hokey. That's the way I feel.
Kind of hokey.
Yeah, kind of hokey.
The night before, as Johnny looked on, Dr. Pierre Brassard operated on Angela's male genitals to make them look like a woman's.
I visualized Angela after the change for quite a while before we came up here to make certain that I was at peace with it, and I'm at peace with it. During the surgery, I just was so interested in what all they were doing that it almost ceased to be Angela that was there. In a lot of ways, it was a delight to be able to know how that came together. I guess the more you know, the better you feel about things.
A week later, Angela is recovering at the hospital's residence for post-operative patients outside Montreal.
Each day she seems to be more whole, and she's become even more so now. And there's a quiet happiness involved there, I think, and that means a lot to me.
I feel like my body finally matches my internal image of myself. I've reached the end of my journey towards becoming a woman. I think I started life as a male with a female brain, and I think I'm making my physical appearance now correspond to my female brain. I finally got my act together, and I'm finally who I should be.